This lesson is about squares and square root of a number. Let us start by defining what is a square of a number. The square of a number is the product when you multiply the number to itself. Say we have a squared, which can also be read as square of a. A is the base, and 2 is the exponent, or also known as the power. Now, what does a squared means? It means a times a. This is because you're going to multiply the number to itself. So let us have specific examples. Say we have 1 squared, or square of 1. This means you have to multiply 1 to itself. Therefore, we will have 1 times 1. And the answer is 1. Next, 2 squared. So you'll multiply 2 to itself. So you'll have 2 times 2, and the answer is 4. Next, 3 squared. So you will multiply 3 to itself, which is 3. So 3 times 3 is equal to 9. Next, 4 squared. And this will be 4 times 4. And the answer is 16. Next is 5 squared. So you will multiply 5 to itself, which is 5. And the answer will be 25. It's easy, right? So let us have other examples. 6 squared will be 6 times 6. And this is equal to 36. 7 squared is equal to 7 times 7, which is 49. Next is the 8 square, which will be equivalent to 8 times 8. And the answer will be 64. Next is the square of 9, or 9 squared, which is equal to 9 times 9. And the answer will be 81. And for the last example, 10 squared. So where are we going to multiply it? That's correct. We'll have 10 times 10. And the answer will be 100. It's easy, right? So again, you just need to remember that in getting the square of a number, you will just multiply the number to itself. Next one is the square root of a number. The square root of a number is the factor of a number that, when multiplied by itself, gives the original number. Say we have the square root of a, or the square root of a number, which means a represents a number. So these are the things that you need to remember. This symbol is called radical sign. And the square root of a number has 2 roots, which are positive and negative roots. However, you also need to remember that the positive root will be the principal root. To understand it further, let us have example. Say we have the square root of 9. To find the square root of 9, think of a number that when you multiply it to itself, the answer is 9. So again, think of a number, and that number, when multiplied to itself, will give 9. So, we have 3 times 3. Because when you multiply 3 times 3, the answer is 9. Then, after having this, what will be the principal root? The principal root will be 3. This is because this is the number that when you multiply to itself, the answer is 9. However, aside from 3 times 3, square root of 9 is also equivalent to the square root of negative 3 times negative 3. This is because when you multiply negative times negative, the answer will be positive. Negative 3 times negative 3, the answer is also positive 9, which means that we have another root which is negative 3. This example clearly shows that the square root of 9 has two roots. And what are those roots? We have positive 3 and negative 3, which can be written as positive and negative 3. However, you must remember that the positive root is the principal root, and therefore the square root of 9 is equal to 3. Let us have other examples. Square root of 1. So that will be equivalent to the square root of 1 times 1, because when you multiply 1 times 1, the answer is 1, and so the principal root is 1. Next, square root of 4. This will be equivalent to the square root of 2 times 2. Therefore, our principal root will be 2. Next, square root of 9. And this is equivalent to the square root of 3 times 3. And the square root or the principal root will be 3. Next, square root of 16. This will be equal to the square root of 4 times 4. And our principal root or the square root will be 4. Next one, square root of 25. And this will be 5 times 5. And our principal root will be 5. It's very easy, right? So as you observe, it is related to what we have studied about the square of a number. Another, square root of 36, which is equivalent to the square root of 6 times 6. So the square root or the principal root will be 6. Next, square root of 49, which is equivalent to square root of 7 times 7. And therefore, the answer or the square root will be 7. Next, square root of 64, which is equivalent to the square root of 8 times 8. Therefore, the principal root will be 8. Next, the square root of 81, which is equivalent to the square root of 9 times 9. And the principal root or the square root is 9. And for the last one, square root of 100, which will be equivalent to the square root of 10 times 10. And therefore, our principal root or the square root will be 10. And that's it. I hope you learned. Thank you.